doing? It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I am live from Chicago. In case you're unfamiliar with me, I have a background in exercise and sports science and nutrition science, also now in medical cannabis science. And I have been working with people for 20 years, and I have been studying all the ways that we could take our body to its highest level for 20 plus years now. And so it's not just about going to the gym. And it's interesting because, there's been a lot of studies lately about walking. I've been seeing a lot of studies and a lot of fitness influencers talking about the importance of walking every day, right? And it's interesting because I'm a native New Yorker, and I've always said that New Yorkers walk way more than the rest of America, okay? And this is why when I left New York, I moved to Chicago, okay? Because I wanted to be in another walkable city. I hope my camera is not blurry. Hold up. Let me the camera needs to be cleaned. I was trying to flip the camera around. Hold on. I think it's dirty. So let me clean it. Sorry, should have done that. Sorry, the video's going to get messed up for a second. Hold on. Hold on a second. Got to get my little pads out. Hold on. So, if you follow my travel page, I've done videos about Chicago. I'm on live, so I know that this is not the clearest view, but there are a lot of trees and flowers and herbs growing around here. And I love being in a walkable city. Talk about how New York is so expensive and they don't understand why it's so, and why people would pay so much. But in New York, you don't need to have a car. Now, granted, a lot of people do have cars, but we walk so much more. Let me show you something. Hold on. Hold on a second. So, you see, Chicago is full of herbs and flowers just growing on the sidewalk. So it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Hold on. Yes. It's a pleasure to walk down the street here because, look. I don't know if you can see on the sidewalk. Look at all these herbs. These are usable herbs. So if you know about herbs, there's all kinds of usable herbs just growing on the sidewalk in Chicago that you can literally pick, okay? I love living in Chicago too. So, yeah, I need to be in a walkable city. And I've been in Chicago for 7.5 years now. It was important to me to move to a city where I didn't have to have a car. I'm like, if I want to get a car, okay, but I don't want to have to have one. And I do have a car now. Got one right before Christmas in 2022. And it's helpful in a city like Chicago because Chicago does have public transportation, but it's not as good as New York at all. It's better than most cities in the U.S., but to me, getting around Chicago is still easier with a car. I did it with no car for 5.5 years. It's, it's more difficult, but doable, especially depending on where you live in the city. But I like to make myself walk. And like in New York, especially if you take the train, you walk up several flights of stairs every day. We walk several blocks every day. When 9/11 happened, so many New Yorkers walked miles home. Most people in America couldn't do that. Most people I know who visit me from other cities and New York, even from Long Island, all they do is complain about all the walking that we do. And we don't even think about it. So the other thing, I like to get sun on my skin. I've made several videos about the importance of getting sun on your skin. It's impossible to do that if you're inside your car. Most Americans drive everywhere. And even in New York, if you have a car, unless it depends on where you live, but a lot of times you don't park right where you're going. Especially where I'm from in Manhattan. I might park 5 blocks away. So I still got to walk 5 blocks, right? So most people in America, if they're not parking right in front of where they're going, driving every single place, you know, and I never considered walking to be exercise. I always said it's just what you should be doing. Most people in America look at walking like, oh, it's exercise. I walked around the block. I did a big... Maybe I consider it exercise if you're walking up hills. So if you live in Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Colorado, even where I'm from, Upper Manhattan is very hilly. When you're walking on flat land, that's nothing, okay? And everybody should be able to do that. So I'm walking to the gym, which is like about 0.8 miles from my house. And there's been a lot of studies coming out lately about how important it is to walk at least 10,000 steps a day. If you go on YouTube, you'll see several fitness people who've made videos going through the research. But it's interesting to me because a lot of times, oh shoot, hold on a minute. Let me show you something. See? All the lovely herbs. How do I feel about sunscreen? I think that nobody should be wearing sunscreen. And there's so many herbs across the street. It's just like, see, for me, I hate the desert. I like greenery. I like trees. I like tree-lined streets. I like herbs and flowers. Okay? Lots of herbs and flowers. You probably can't even see this across the street. But you see, it's just so rich with flowers and herbs, okay? So that's good for my spirit. Even though I often feel understimulated in Chicago, like I do love Chicago, but it's boring to me. I always say it's beautiful but boring. New York stimulates me a lot more, and it's a lot easier for me to walk in New York because it's easier to take public transportation in New York. So I can run around the city all day. And the thing is, like right now I'm carrying a bag. This bag is not that heavy, but the more you walk, it starts to become heavy. So when you're in New York and you're carrying stuff and you accumulate things over the day, it just gets heavier and heavier. So this is another block I'm walking down. I'm on live, so it might be a little blurry. But you see all this lovely, and there's butterflies and fireflies and ladybugs and bunny rabbits. I like backpacks. I prefer backpacks. I don't like shoulder bags at all. I just don't have a backpack right now. I prefer them because having all the weight on one shoulder is not good. So I shift constantly, but I hate shoulder bags. I don't even own a purse. I don't like weight on one side. So I used to have leather book bags that I got from Cuba. They're very good at that, and I have book bags, so I like book bags. But somebody asked me about Gary Null. I know who Gary Null is. The scenery over here is so beautiful. He was in the radio in New York on the same station my dad was on and I used to be on. And a lot of stuff that he talks about, it's like maybe 50% of it I agree with. But I'm definitely going to say that I have videos about sunscreen and the sun and hydration are posted in my stories. But whether you're dark skin or light skin, you should not be wearing sunscreen. It's not good for you. What you put on your skin does matter. And sorry, the sun is the wrong direction. See, now it's all dark. Never want the sun behind you. What am I trying to say? I lost my train of thought. My whole point is that now there's all these people with these studies, and they're talking about how important it is to take 8,000 steps, 10,000 steps a day. And I find that can be challenging because like in New York, if I'm just living life, I'm at my parents' house, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the supermarket. I'm gonna go walk over here, go walk over there, go to my day. And there's so many things to look at in New York that walking down the street is just like stores to look at, people to look at. So walking down the street is a joy. In Chicago, of course, it depends on what neighborhood you're in, like every city. But Chicago is extremely beautiful. You know, I love a beautiful city. I love a walkable city and a beautiful city. The flowers and the plants, so that makes walking enjoyable. But because I want to get sun on my skin, hold up. That's another reason. Let me cross the street. Sorry. That's another reason why I like to walk. Because how else am I going to get sun on my skin? I'm not a fan of the beach because I hate sand. And then when you go to the beach, it's non-productive. You just go sit there. You can't be on your laptop doing work. You can't do work. And I feel like I'm burning if I'm just sitting in the sun. But if I'm walking and moving around, it's more bearable. And so I'd rather just walk around all day and live life and get the sun on my skin. In America, if you're not making a conscious effort to do that, you're not walking enough, you're not getting enough steps in, and you're not getting enough sun. Because again, it doesn't work if it's coming through the glass in your car. So to me, a walkable city is very valuable. And when I look at, like in New York, there's not a lot of obese people in New York. And when you do see people who are like kind of chubby or overweight, they're still very functional. Like think Heavy D and how he used to dance his ass off. Because we all walk a lot in New York. Just a part of the culture. We don't even think about it. And there's several studies that have come out, and when I repost this video on YouTube, I'll post some of the studies below. But hold on, loud trains going by. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, there's several studies that show that you decrease, you add years to your life the more steps you walk by the thousands every day. We are meant to move. It's not just about going to the gym. You can go to the gym, but you're driving to the gym and you're driving home. It doesn't replace walking, okay? When it comes to fitness, strength training is important, and nothing can replace the importance of strength training. Because as we age, we lose a little bit of muscle every year. Especially after the age of 25 or 30, according to a textbook. And muscle is the metabolic tissue in our body. Muscle is responsible for movement, injury prevention because it absorbs shock. So as you age, it's important to engage in anabolic activity, which is activity that builds muscle. and not catabolic. Catabolic activities break down muscle. So an example of catabolic activity is jogging for miles. If you look at distance runners, they're very skinny. Sometimes skinny fat. But if you look at a sprinter, they're strong and... Hold on a second. I had to stop talking because I'm talking to you guys walking down the street. People like all of my conversation. But let me stop because it's hard for me to walk and talk. I'm trying to talk to you guys, but another thing too is you can't talk and breathe. So when I walk with my dad, I'm always telling him stop talking because you can't talk and breathe. You want to focus on your breathing. And so for me, I'm gonna stop walking. I'm gonna stop walking for a minute and just talk. So not only does New York not have a lot of obese, but the elderly people in New York are very functional. There's a woman who lives on my parents' floor. She's in her 90s, okay? She might be like 94 now. This woman, she has no kids. She goes to the store, but you have to walk up a hill. So I live in Sugar Hill. So the part of New York I live in is very hilly. She walks up the hill to go to the supermarket. 94, okay? Now, my grandmother passed away at 94 and almost 95. And my grandmother she had a leg amputated because she had something wrong with the circulation in her leg. My grandmother was not diabetic, but I think the circulation problem happened from her never walking. I never saw my grandmother walk anywhere. The car was parked right outside the house. They had a driveway. They had the garage. And she would get right into the car. You know, like most Americans, they drive to their suburban parking lot and they try their best to park as close as they can to the store. And I've always believed, like even with my parents who are in their 70s and 80s, they live in the 9th floor of the building. I really feel like they should be walking up a few flights every day. Like walk up 3 flights of stairs and walk back down. Walk up 3 flights of stairs and walk back down. One thing about Chicago is that it's very flat. So in New York, some parts of New York is flat, but the part of New York I live in is not flat. So there's a lot of hills to walk up. The parks have hills. There's staircases, huge staircases that you can walk up, several of them in Harlem. And so when you start going up hills and upstairs, it's even more strenuous than just walking on flat land. And to me, people should be walking every day. Okay? That's why it's like I can't wait to go to New York. I'll be in New York in early July. And I'm not going to drive at all. I'm going to take the train everywhere. Walk around with the bags. Go to the grocery store. Carry the grocery bags. Like, we need that in life. Independent of whether or not you go to the gym. And if you think about it, as you age, you want to still have function in your legs. Like, our legs carry us around our entire life. When your legs stop working and your knees are so bad that you can barely walk, you're very vulnerable. And I don't want to ever be in that situation. I don't. So when I see all these studies now about how important walking is, I'm like, I've been saying that. I didn't need a study. I've been knew that shit. Okay? I've been knew that, to me, I didn't see walking as exercise. I saw it as something that people should be doing every day. And a lot of these studies talk about, 7,000 to 10,000 steps. Most Americans are not walking 100 steps every day, let alone 1,000, let alone 7,000 or 10,000. Okay? I'm going to keep walking. And then people love to talk about how, and you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start biking. I haven't really ridden a bike since I was like 12. I like my feet on the ground. Last time I rode a bike, I was in Amsterdam in 2019. And my Airbnb host made me ride a bike someplace that we could have walked. And I'm not with riding bikes with cars because I also like safety. So when it comes to me with physical activity, I like safety. Like, I need to keep my body protected. I'm not riding no bikes with no cars and getting hit. I don't, whatever. But Chicago to me is way more bike friendly than New York. New York has more people on bikes But I would never ride a bike in New York. Hell to the no. Millions of people do it, won't be me. There's way too much going on in the street. But in Chicago, it's way more bike friendly. And so I want to start adding bike riding to my repertoire. I also rollerblade. Skating is very good. I like to ice skate in the winter even more than rollerblading. But then walking. So like every day now, I'm just going to walk to the gym. I could have easily driven and been there in 5 minutes, but nope. No, I am not uptown. Uptown what? You mean uptown New York City or uptown Chicago? Which uptown are you talking about? There's an uptown in Chicago and there's an uptown in New York. But, some of you know I just completed a master's degree. And I was sitting down way too much, okay? I got my car when I was in my grad program. And one of the reasons why I got it, I was experimenting with driving Uber and Lyft on the weekends and make some extra money to pay tuition. And I really liked it. But now it's I can feel, I've been sitting between getting the car and being in a freaking science graduate program, which is a lot of work. I've been sitting down way too much. And last summer when I was in New York, just walking up, when I was taking the train, I'm running around the city, running up and down the stairs. My legs was on fire. And my legs never was on fire before. I never felt like that before. So I can just definitely feel the iPhones, can tell you how many steps you take every day. And so you can even look at it and see I'm walking significantly less this year than I was last year this time. But being in New York is nothing to walk freaking 20,000 steps a day. Nothing. On top of my dance classes, on top of going to the gym to lift weights. So I suggest that you all, and the other thing too, when I was in Cuba, in Colombia, people walk a lot. And Cuba and Colombia was very hilly, at least Medellin and Cali. Very hilly, and you saw old people walking up those hills. People in their 80s walking up these steep hills. And right now, because I'm on the phone with you, I'm walking in the shade. But I really want to go walk in the sun. Because I want to get the sun on my skin. But I'm only walking in the shade because of the light and it making the camera overheat. So I'm going to finish this video so I can go across the street to the sun. But I highly suggest that you all look into the studies about walking. How much do you walk? Do you look at your little, whatchamacallit? Do you look at your phone to see how many steps you take every day? Do you? You really, really should. And so that's why, I could never live in Houston or Atlanta and see, I'm back in the sun now. You can't see me because I gotta face this way. Because there's too much driving, and those cities aren't very walkable at all, and that's just bad for your freaking health. I'm sorry. I don't want to be old and I'm have to be in a wheelchair. My legs don't really work. And you know how you prevent that? You keep walking. You keep walking. And if you live someplace, hold up. If you live someplace with hills, walk up some hills. DC is good for that. Baltimore is good for that. let me see. Does Philly have hills? I think Philly has hills. New York City does when you're in the Bronx in Upper Manhattan. So if you have stairs that you can run up or walk up, do that. Okay? And walking is more important than even jogging. Jogging is something that not only is overrated, it can be destructive. Okay? First of all, if you jog too much, it can be catabolic, which means it causes you to burn muscle, which you never want to do. Jogging puts a lot of stress on your joints, knees and ankles, especially when you're running on concrete, which a lot of people do. If you're jogging next to a street or on the side of the highway, now you're breathing in all this exhaust. Same thing with riding your bike in those places. But walking as much as you can. Expose your skin to the sun as much as you can. Which is another reason why, you know what's crazy? I travel a lot. Every place I go where it's hot, like whether it's in America, so it could be New Orleans or Florida, or outside of America, African countries, Mexico, Colombia. Cartagena, Colombia is one of the hottest damn places I've ever been in my life. That shit is like Miami plus New Orleans, and that's bad. Okay? People have on jeans, hoodies. The thing is that in Cuba and Colombia and stuff, people might dress like that. They might have on like jackets and pants. But if I walk around like this with a dress on, with my skin out, they're not really tripping. Except for when I was in Cuba and I remember one time I was in Havana and I needed to go to the bank. And they told me I couldn't come in the bank with my legs out. Okay? As hot as it is in Cuba, they said you can't come in the bank with your legs out. Which is crazy to me. But then in Chicago, it could be not that hot. I see girls walking down the street with bikinis on. And it's like 75 degrees. Meanwhile, you go to countries and places where it feels like hell and people haven't always posed. So one of the things that says is people who live in a lot of hot places also aren't getting enough sun in their skin because they're all covered up. So I like to be in a place where, like some countries, like some West African countries, if I was walking around with this dress on, they would look at me like I was inappropriate, which shows how much the colonizers got their mind, because we all were almost naked before we were colonized. You're heavily melanated and come from a hot place. So it's important to me. I couldn't do all this walking in the sun if I had a bunch of clothes. I don't know how people do that. I need the sun on my skin. Also, the sun on your skin is not just for vitamin D. The sun helps you to burn fat. The sun helps increase testosterone. I made a video about this last year. The sun helps to increase testosterone in men and women, which fuels our sex drive in men and women. Okay? And it has an effect on several other... Hello, how are you? It has an effect on several other hormones. Okay? So the sun has many benefits for our health besides the vitamin D thing. And you're not going to get enough vitamin D from the sun anyway. Okay? Especially the more melanin you have. Maybe a pale person could. But the more melanin you have, the more you need to be in the sun in order to absorb it. And the sun in Chicago is not strong enough to make me dark. Once I go to New York, you're going to see how much darker I am. The sun in New York is more intense. Now, the more south I go, if I go to Georgia, go to Virginia, Georgia, Florida, Mexico, the further south I go, the darker I get. I can get a lot darker. The darker we are, the more sun we need to get vitamin D. Because melanin protects us from the oxidizing properties of the sun. You said You said my camera froze, and you said the sun burns what? I don't remember saying anything about the sun burning anything. I was saying the sun has many benefits. So I was saying that the sun helps to balance our hormones, helps increase testosterone in both men and women, which increases their sex drive. It helps burn, I said it helps burn fat. That's what I said. No, I said the sun can help burn fat as well. So like for me, I don't go to a gym and sit in a sauna. I will never do that. Instead, I'd rather just deal with the heat when it's hot. Like today is 86, not that bad. Tomorrow it's gonna be like 93. I'll go out and walk in the heat and humidity in the sun. That's what I call a natural sauna. I'm not gonna go sit in a fake hot room. Like people will go to the gym and sit in a sauna. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Are you seeing anybody? I see you on the phone, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
No, it's okay. Hold on a second.
What's your name?
Give me a second.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, sorry about that, people. See, this is the thing. New York City got you bronze? Yes. Me too. New York City gets me darker, and I like to get darker. And this winter, I couldn't travel anywhere. Usually in the wintertime, I try to go someplace hot, but I couldn't. This past winter, because of school, I was stressed out. No sun. So, I'm trying to make up for it now. But basically, I'm saying the sun has many benefits, okay? Walking has many benefits. And walking is not enough. You shouldn't think that all you need to do is walk. No, you need to go to the gym and lift some weights as well. But you also don't want to think that lifting weights is all you need to do. And that because you drive to the gym and lift weights 5 days a week. No, but you don't walk nowhere. So, if you had to walk for miles, could you? And when you travel to other countries, a lot of times you have to walk more. In Europe, because Europe is way more public transportation oriented. It's actually easier in a lot of Europe to get around on the train than it is to be trying to do it in the car. It's one thing I like about Europe. So yeah. Because you have all these big muscles, but your ass can't walk anywhere. They're both important. So, I'm almost at the gym. It was 0.8 miles to walk here, but I took a little detour. So, maybe I've walked a mile, and then I will walk back. I'm gonna go to the gym, work my legs, then walk back in the sun. And when you walk a lot, especially in the sun, you sleep better. You be dead tired at the end of the day. Dead tired. So, again, think, how much do you walk? Do you check your phone? Start checking your phone and looking to see how many steps you take. Because most Americans aren't even taking 100, and that's bad. Okay, so when it comes to health, there's a lot of things that matter. The quality of our air, the quality of our water, not just that we drink, but that we shower in, which is also why I don't do swimming pools and stuff like that, because chlorine is terrible. Like, working out in the water is good. It's good for your lungs. It's good for people that might have joint issues. Working out in the water can be good. But not if it's chlorinated, because chlorine is poison. And when you're soaking in a freaking tub of chlorine called a pool, those toxic chemicals are seeping into your body and can cause all kinds of issues. So for me, I don't believe in solving one problem by causing another. So So like, oh yeah, swimming is good exercise. Working out in the water is good exercise. But now I'm in a pool full of chlorine that can cause all these other health issues. All right? And just remember, our legs carry us around our entire life. Our legs carry us around our entire life. Where are you going without your legs? Without functioning legs. And as I said that, I just walked past somebody who's in a wheelchair. But I'm gonna go, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna go get my workout on. I will see you guys later. Think about how much you walk. If you want to add your 2 cents and let me know how much do you walk, do you pay attention to it, how many steps are you taking, what city do you live in? I know all my people aren't in the US either. You have to get up in the high hundreds, low thousands. Yeah, you need to get above the high hundreds. Let's try to get to 5,000. How about you start there? How about that be your first goal, 5,000? And again, this sun, I'm not walking. This is another thing that's hard about doing these videos. I'm gonna be walking in the direction of the sun. Sorry, the sun is shining in the camera, making everything dark. But some cities it's harder to do it in, which is also why I hate the suburbs. But I'm making it a point to walk more because I feel it. Like I've always felt it. Whenever I would go someplace in America and visit people, and we were in the car for every goddamn thing, it drives me crazy. I always said, I feel like my body's wasting away. And then for me, I don't even know. I'm not even going to get into the next thing I was going to say. The social aspect of walking. Because in New York, as much as girls complain about dudes always talking to us and bothering us, and it can be annoying, which is why New York dudes always say New York women are mean. It's just that you can't be in New York walking down the street with all happy-go-lucky, because New York men are aggressive and they'll never leave you alone. And if you're an attractive woman, it's like too many dudes be trying to say something to you. You can't talk to everybody if you got shit to do. And a lot of New York dudes don't take no for an answer. They're just mad aggressive. So even though we complain about that, now I'm starting to miss that because I'm like, it's actually hard to meet people. I'll be thinking like, yeah, I don't be really meeting dudes in Chicago. And I'm not one to like want to go out of my way to do that. But a lot of times when you're just walking down the street, all of that happens. Okay, so I've been talking this whole time. Am I going to film my workout? No. For everybody who writes ignorant comments, you're going to get blocked as soon as I get off this thing. Let me take a note. Okay. I know I need to block. But anyhow, I'm going to go walk up these stairs, okay, to the gym. And go work my legs and walk back home. I'm also going to start playing basketball again. Because in New York, especially in Harlem, there are basketball courts everywhere, but they're dominated by men, and there's always dudes on it. You're always going to be bothered. Chicago has like dozens of basketball courts in the gym. So, sorry. It's hard to do this video in public with everybody staring at me. So I'm in the video. I'm out of breath because I walked a mile talking the whole time. So you guys get the point of the video. I've talked enough. Enjoy your day. Get to your walking. Make sure you breathe. Thank you. Fix this. Okay. Bye, people. I'm done. Thank you. You have a good day, too.